My name is Stanley Miller. I'm the historian of the Friends of Peace Church. We are in a building that's 200 years old. It was built in 1798 by a group of German farmers of Dutch Reform. They were in here for several years and were having a difficult time with it, and they invited another congregation to join them, a Lutheran congregation near Poplar Grove where the hospital is. So in 1806 they joined them, and they had alternate Sundays, but they both left here in 1866 for other places. It's a Georgian architecture, and you can tell it's Georgian because one side repeats the other. The two windows on each side of the doors, and it repeats it over in that wall and it's repeated over in that wall. It's also on the four cardinal directions, exactly. That one being south, that being directly north. You also notice that it has no steeple, it has no artifacts in it, it has no stained glass windows in it. And this goes back to the early beliefs of these Dutch Reformed. People ask me what that means. Probably closely come would be like German Presbyterian. But they believe in very simple things, and that they should keep the church simple, and that a church service should have a sermon at its center. That's why when you come in, the pulpit is in the center, and the pulpits surround, or the pews surround the pulpit. And that was done deliberately. So the state acquired this as a gift in 1967, I believe. And so it was shuttered and locked for about 100 years. So when they opened, this is what they found. Obviously, the State Museum Commission has painted it and made repairs. But otherwise, what you see is what was in the church. If we can turn around for a minute, and behind me, this is what the people see when they enter the building, and that's a wine glass pulpit, named that way for obvious reasons. Below there is the lectern that was here. Those two sticks beside it were the collection sticks with silk bags attached to the end. They tell me that they were useful during a service if someone fell asleep. They just reversed it and they jabbed the point into the ribs of the sleeper. Over here is the baptismal font with a beautiful bowl inside of it. The table here, they tell me, is a St. Anne's. It doesn't look like much, but it is quite a historic relic, and it served, of course, as the altar for them. That doodad over there, against the wall, is the funeral bier. They probably put it up on its legs, sat it over here in the aisle, and put the coffin on it during the funeral sermon. All they had to do then was to carry it out into the cemetery for the service. These lamps were here. They probably were installed later than 98, and we're not sure of the exact age of them. Same thing is true of the stoles and the drum, probably put in about the 1840s and coal burned. These stoves are replicas. The original ones are gone. I kind of think they were stolen during the World War II when they had the scrap metal drives. But they got one of them has a label of York on it, and the other is pine. Yeah. The drum there is to collect heat, to heat the balcony. If you have a fireplace at home, you know that you lose your heat up the chimney. So this is a good idea to collect the heat. Probably the prize of the whole church is the organ. It's the Dow organ. It was built in 1807 by a man by the name of Dahl from Lancaster. They got a prescription for it, and it was installed. It is still played. The only thing that's been done to it, it has an electric blower now, although the pull is still there, so it can be manually also blown up. In fact, we are marking the 200th anniversary of that organ this year. It's beautiful, beautiful cabinet carpentry. It's Chippendale. And people come from all over to look at it. The sound is also magnificent for an organ of that age.
My name is Phil Semke. I'm one of the members of the Friends of Peace Church also. And I will be taking you into our balcony and showing you our doll organ, which is 200 years old this year. This is our Conrad doll organ, which was purchased in 1807 with funds we feel were obtained when the Lutherans bought a half share into this church from the German Reformed. It was built especially for this church by Conrad Dahl in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, at a cost of $466.66. The thing that's very unique about this organ is the keyboard. If you look at the keyboard, it is reversed. The ebony is ivory, and the ivory is ebony. We feel that the only reason that this was back then, when they bought the materials to build the organ, they used whatever they had most of. So we felt that he had more ebony left, so most of the keys are ebony. This has been restored. At one point, when the church closed in 1866, the Lutheran congregation built St. John's Lutheran Church directly east of here across St. John's Road. The church was closed, and this organ was moved to that church and used over there. In 1954, a storm came through, destroyed that church. The organ was moved back. In the early 70s, it was restored to its normal or its original state. The male members were always the predominant ones. They sat downstairs. Women and children were always seated in the balcony. Men always received communion first. So this is where your women and children sat for all services. That's because the men were the boss in 1798.
What about today?
Today, the women sit wherever they want. And I stay out of trouble.
The pews, by the way, are original. They're made of single slats, and they are at right angles. And when people sit in them for about 15 minutes, they will discover that they are also uncomfortable. And I kind of think they did it on purpose.
We're up here in the balcony, and as you could tell, that if you're standing here or seated in the balcony, you can't see the floor from here. But you can see the wine glass pulpit. It was constructed as such, and it's 9 feet above the floor. The pastor who was preaching could see out and see everyone in the upstairs and downstairs being raised up. The ceiling of the building is also in a half circle, which tends to give you better sound quality. And it was done for that purpose, as well as I'm sure Stan told you about the sounding board above the pulpit, which helped project the voice out. Well, he could see you, and he could call you out by name if you were trying to sleep.